Apparently, I didn't look nice next to my sister's boyfriend, therefore I wasn't invited to my mum's birthday. They were unaware that her boyfriend was actually one of my employees. "Don't call me your father if you still insist on coming." "Home," my father replied, looking me in the eye. "I'm Jack, a 30-year-old who lives in a little town south of Seattle. I usually get up early, grab a cup of coffee, and head to the little software firm I co-founded. My family has always thought of me as a glorified repairman, even though we work on renewable energy. I never fix them. We hadn't communicated for more than 2 years. No holidays, no birthdays, no texts, no calls. There was only a long, icy quiet. It was just before my mother's birthday 2 years ago that I last made an effort to close the distance. I called to let them know that I would be arriving home early to assist with the celebration. My father replied in a deep, aloof voice. He remarked, "Jack, perhaps don't come home this year." He became direct and said, "Anna is bringing her boyfriend," which made me think he was anxious about my schedule. He is a manager and a significant figure. Additionally, it's preferable if you don't come because it's uncomfortable to discuss your employment. My face flushed. "What just did you say?" My voice was hardly steady as I asked. He refused to give up. "The entire family would be embarrassed if you returned home. Do not refer to me as your father if you insist on coming." He hung up after that. His words reverberated in my mind as I stood there in shock. I had discreetly paid all of their expenses for more than 2 years, including internet, water, and electricity, totaling over $10,000, without ever requesting gratitude. I was now the embarrassment of the family. I stopped all of the automated transfers, navigated through the never-ending list of payments, and launched my banking app. I ultimately recognized I deserved more, not out of spite. After a week, I received a mail from my mother requesting me to pay the internet fee. Just another request, with no explanation or apologies for what transpired. I didn't respond. My dad's tone was gruff and irritated as he left a phone 2 weeks later over the unpaid power bill. Again, nothing about what he said. I said nothing. While they were celebrating with family on my mum's birthday, my phone began to vibrate. As the internet, water, and electricity went off one after another, my mum, dad, and Anna all asked me to pay the bills. I didn't respond. The family then began contacting me, accusing me of being impolite and saying that I had embarrassed them. I was sick of having to explain myself to people who never paid attention, so I read every message quietly. However, the call wasn't the beginning of the narrative. Little things that accumulated up throughout the years were the beginning. In a quiet, weary voice, my mother would call and ask if I could help a little with the expenses. She would say, only till things calmed down. However, the demands continued, as the months stretched into years. 2 years older than me, my sister Anna was the life of the party, the family's hope, and the one they boasted about at parties. Me. "Jack, oh, he's fine. I think he works in technology," I said after the fact. I never sought praise, but I became aware of how unnoticeable I had become. I was usually half hidden behind someone else, at the edge of the frame, in family portraits. Anna was in the middle, effervescent, and constantly had something new to say or do. The entire family came together to support her after she ended a relationship. It was a big party when she obtained a new job. When was the last time someone inquired about my well-being? Month after month, I continued to pay the expenses in silence, every month for more than 2 years, about $400. I did it because I felt it was right, not because I was grateful. However, something inside of me exploded after that conversation with my father. I felt a deep aching as I browsed through my banking app and saw the never-ending list of payments. I felt simply empty now, not furious or heartbroken. I reclaimed what little dignity I still had by cancelling each and every payment. My family's quiet seemed different after that. It was a wall, not simply a distance. I knew my mum wasn't trying to get back in touch when she messaged me about the internet bill. All she needed was anything. My dad's voice was irritated and icy when he phoned regarding the electricity. Nobody inquired about my well-being or the reason behind my silence. I said nothing. My mother's birthday broke the ice. My phone began to vibrate as the day wore on, but the celebration continued without me. My mother was the first to say, "Jack, the power has been cut off. It is dark in the home. Pay the bill, please." My dad then said, "No water. We are not able to cook. Take care of it right away." Anna then said, "The internet is down. Visitors are coming. Fix this immediately, please." It was 5:12 p.m. when I checked the clock. 3 weeks ago, just after my father instructed me not to return home, I recalled cancelling all of my payments. Now, everything stopped working in the middle of the birthday celebration to which I was not invited. Just when they needed it most, the internet, water, and power were all cut off. I didn't respond. With my coffee cold, I sat in my living room and gazed up at the bleak sky. I understood that they missed me, which is why they weren't phoning. No one remained to bear their load, therefore they were calling. At around 6 p.m., the calls shifted. Now it was the family members, those who felt entitled to pass judgment, yet only attended on holidays. I was referred to as impolite by some. One replied, "You made your mother look bad in front of the entire family." "Your sister was right," said another. "On a good day, people like you shouldn't be present." I read every message but didn't reply. I had had enough of defending myself to those who always took the side of the louder mob. Then, using an outdated program that was still only used by her and me, Aunt Lauren made a video call. The only one who ever gave a damn was her. When I replied, her face emerged behind her, partially illuminated by the kitchen. Every creaking cabinet and wall crack was familiar to me. However, the atmosphere felt different tonight. Small chat, nervous laughs, and the clink of cutlery. Her worried and loving eyes were fixed on me. "Jack, you won't cover the cost?" Gently, she inquired. I looked her in the eye. I was instructed not to come by Dad. He advised me to stop referring to him as my father if I persisted. Her gaze shifted, as though she was examining the room behind her, and she became silent. The call then turned chaotic. "Tell him I'm ashamed of him," my mother's voice said. "How could he have done this on this day of all days?" "It's not that serious," said my father. "It's only a few bills to pay. How could a man become petty about money?" "Poor Anna, having to deal with a brother like that," said another speaker, who I believed to be my uncle. Anna showed there with her arms crossed and her lips pursed in frustration. He even answered the phone. "All day long, Mum has been weeping. Is he even interested?" Absolutely no shame. I remained silent. I remained mute and observed, as though that was my only line of defense. I was ready to hang up when I saw a different face. A young man wearing a black suit and his hair neatly brushed. He gave me a perplexed look before reluctantly grinning. His voice was uncertain and gruff when he responded, "Hey, boss." I went cold. This was not what I had anticipated, either here or now. The way he talked and his face clicked. He was a recent transfer from our southern branch and was one of the new hires. He had sent me a handful of reports and we had exchanged emails. I was unaware that he was the man who everyone was attempting to impress, Anna's boyfriend. There was silence in the kitchen behind Aunt Lauren. "Wait, what did he just call Jack?" someone said. A second, perplexed. "Boss? Does that imply that Jack works for Anna's boyfriend?" Uncomfortably, the murmurs swelled and overlapped. Silently, I continued to stare at the television while the knowledge echoed around the room. The next days were oddly quiet. The texts and calls slowed, then ceased. I signed contracts, ran meetings, went to work, and saw my business expand. My partners valued my viewpoint, and my staff respected me. I felt seen for the first time. The incident was never mentioned by Anna's boyfriend, who is now one of my employees. He won his spot on the squad by putting in a lot of effort and being focused. We never discussed families. Sometimes Aunt Lauren would call to see how things were going. She didn't inquire about the party or the expenses. She only inquired about my well-being. The stillness fell back on Anna and my parents. However, it didn't hurt this time. It was liberating. I occasionally remember that night, the quiet, the darkness, and the mayhem in my family's kitchen. If they ever knew what they had lost, I wonder. The peaceful, steady presence of someone who cared enough to bear their problems, without complaining, not the money or the convenience. I once thought that family was the most important thing. I now understand that sometimes stepping out of the shadows and letting the lights go out is the only way to be noticed. I came to the realization that I was never the family's embarrassment as their world shifted with each late payment. I was, simply, the one they had always undervalued. Kindly leave your remarks in comments section. I'm really curious if you agree or disagree. Please subscribe if the tale inspired you so that the channel can keep getting support. Many stories still need to be told as well. Thank you for persevering to the finish. Thank you for watching. Please click the notification bell for more updates.